They're calling this Asmongold's worst take. I haven't heard it. I heard.
Honestly, in my opinion, Asmongold's worst take, which isn't even the worst take I've heard from anyone, which isn't even the worst take I've heard from anyone, is when he was talking when he is his response to like the whole Sony uh the whole Sony situation where they decided to stop manufacturing physical discs uh around 2028, which is really crazy. But yeah, his take was really wild. Honestly, it was freaking wild. Um and like, he said something along the lines of like that. I think he said it's like a good thing or something. I forgot what he said, but what he said was pretty controversial a little bit, at least in my opinion. But at the end of the day, he was in a sense right. He was kind of right in a sense. You know, because he provided more context in a tweet, in his Twitter post, his tweet, where it's because there's really no legislation to like help protect against stuff like that. Um, so and because I guess not that many people are buying physical copies. Not that I'm sure how though I'm not sure how that's really relevant, considering that people still buy them regardless. I mean, he did have a point in what he said. It's just he didn't provide enough context, so it came off a little sus. You know, Regardless, though, I have yet to hear his worst take. I really do. I have yet to hear it because that's nothing compared to to a lot of the takes that I've seen shit lives on Twitter uh making.
Nico freak the fuck over this. I'm going to see what this apparently catastrophic Nazi-like take is,
The
and I'm
chat
going
is
to see once
crazy.
again, can we explain it? Can we defend it? I am, by the way, John Tectone. They call me Asmongold, second in command. People always tell me that Asmongold says this
You
horrific
got a crazy chat.
shit. I've yet
Comes
to see him say
Jewishly.
anything that isn't defensible.
Yeah,
His current worst take is that there are inferior cultures that have genocide baked into them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even a bad take. That's literally true. Do people even know what a take is? Because that's completely true. There are definitely cultures that are completely terrible, like to the point where they shouldn't even exist. When we say inferior, we mean cultures that are just outright evil, cultures that should not exist. It shouldn't be that difficult to understand, really.
Duh. Duh. By the way, Asmongold apologized for that. He should have never apologized for that because everybody knows that certain cultures are inferior. Would we like to talk about the New Guinea cum warriors, where the New Guinea cum warriors take every adult male in the village and they 6 to 10-year-old children so that way they're
Why? Why is that a culture? Why was that a culture? Please tell me that was in the past tense. Oh my lord, yeah. Folks need to be castrated, sterilized, and taken. Nope, nope, nope. You know what? We way beyond that. Castrated, sterilized, compressed median nerve for hours. Um, and then just thrown feet first into whichever. In fact, thrown completely naked on hot coals. Like, what is this? What are we doing? This sounds exactly something. This sounds exactly like something that Muslims would do too. Like, it literally sounds exactly like that too. It really does. It sounds like something they would do.
ready for battle. Yeah, do we want to act like all cultures are the same? Hey, John Tectone here. I
All cultures are definitely not the same. They are definitely nowhere near the same.
would like to say I think the United States culture is just a little bit than promoting minor gay child gang rape.
Yep.
But that's just me. Anyways, Here we go. Let's talk about Asmongold's quote unquote worst take so far. Saw that I got a donut. I'm going to talk about that after the video. Let's get into it. If you like this type of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it.
Is shoot him, problem solved. That's what I would do.
Shoot him, problem solved.
I mean, and I honestly agree because I do know what he's talking about. He's talking about like what was it? Oh shoot! It's not like that country where like they having a border stormed by a bunch of immigrants. Um, and yeah, like I seen a video on YouTube. I think it was on YouTube of one of the immigrants being shot at. I'm not sure if he was hit, but he was trying to get over the border. He was trying to get through the border, and he got shot at. You know, it's just so crazy. You know, and I honestly agree. You know, it's gotten to the point where stuff like that has to happen now because when you don't because here's the thing, you can't just like storm into someone else's country. You can't storm into like another country undocumented illegally. That's not how things work. You want to go into the country, you do so the legal route. You know, it's really gotten to the point where people trying to storm countries just need to be shot at this point. You know, I hate to say it, you all know it, but it's gotten to that point. It really has. You know, because we have an immigration crisis in almost every country around the world right now. You have a lot of folks from the Middle East and other countries constantly storming many other countries across the entire world, across the entire world, and um and because of that, people have they've gotten to the point. People have gotten to the point where they don't care. They want hands dirty at this point. I can't even form words right now because I'm just baffled by what Tectone said. I've never heard of anything like that. That is just wow. But it's gotten to the point where a bunch of people from the Middle East, especially, are trying to storm other countries, are storming other countries. Let's be real here. They're storming other countries, trying to take them over, and especially ours. And as a result, you know, we end up having a much more difficult time living because of that. You know, and it's not just us. Obviously, like I said, other countries are going through this crap, and some countries are allowing it. Certain ones, especially European countries, are allowing it, and it's gotten to the point where they just need to anyone where illegal immigrants. I'm sorry, just they just need to be shot at this point. You know, because you've been told time and time again that you don't come in the country unless you're doing so illegally, and you're not coming to cause trouble, and you still don't listen. I mean, honestly, I'd go even farther and say we need landmines across our borders. I'm not sure if that's if there are, but we need landmines, bro. If we don't have them already, on top of sentry guns. I know that's a wet dream. That's a wet dream, but you know, a man can dream. A man can dream. You know, like we need stricter and tighter security, meaning anyone who tries to come in illegally gets shot. You know, that's it. You know, people need to understand that we have borders for a reason. Every country has borders. Now, you know, it used to be that when other countries had borders, no one had a problem with it. I mean, everyone hates our country for having borders, which is really just stupid, honestly. It's a stupid reason to hate a country, but I guess you do you be miserable, I guess. You know, now it's basically any country that has borders basically is worthy of being hated. You know, because all those poor people who have to migrate and diversity and inclusivity. I'm so sick and tired of that bullshit. It's not even funny, but you know what I mean, man. You know, yeah, we need to start escalating. And and should other countries should take note. Escalation is needed because we have to look. We have to protect our goddamn country. We can't be worrying about other people's problems because every time we do, people get salty about it. It's either that it's never enough or it's too much. You know, it's disgusting. It's really disgusting how people are today. But like I said, you heard what he said, and I absolutely agree. You're hearing me say that I agree. This isn't me being having a gun held to my head. This isn't me being brainwashed like you folks would want to believe. What you folks would always want to believe and try to argue. Nope, you're hearing it from me. We absolutely do need a solution like that. People just need to start getting shot at. Whatever the cost, man. We have a country to protect. We can't have we can't have people storming it, trying to annihilate it and ruin it and reshape it in their own image. This is the United States of America. We're not any other country. And we don't need to be. We are our own country, bro. I just
They're obviously talking about Spain getting invaded by a bunch of, I believe it was African. It says Moroccan migrants. I thought it was African, which I believe Morocco is in Africa. Let me double check here real quick. Yeah, it's in the northwestern corner of the continent of Africa. Glad I knew that. Don't ask for the date of World War II. Let's talk about it.
That's what I think they should. I think they should just fucking shoot them.
I agree.
I've said this before. I know that it might sound like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. I have no sympathy for doing that.
I mean, yeah, and it does sound pretty messed up when you hear it, especially when you say it. But hey, it is. Something got to be done because we can't just do nothing. And they certainly can't just do nothing and just let people invade their goddamn country. That's a whole invasion. That's not even. We're way past illegal immigration. That is straight up invasion. And the response they should respond accordingly. And the same should go for every country. Every country should respond accordingly to stuff like that. Treat it as an invasion of enemy combatants. I hate to go to that. I hate to go there, but you have no business storming another country in waves. Instead you have no business doing that. Because, it looks like you're invading a country, and honestly, I wouldn't doubt if they were. They probably are. Treat it as an invasion, annihilate them. Because, we're getting tired of this shit. The British citizens are getting tired of this shit. Us American citizens are getting tired of this shit. A bunch of people in Spain are getting tired of that crap. So something got to be done. I mean, that's it. If you don't like it, you could always leave the country. I mean, that's an option. My thing is, if you hate the country so much, then why the heck are you still here, is what I want to know. But we know why, so you can leech off of the system. You don't hate the country, you just hate the culture we have here. And you want to erase it and change it to something that shouldn't even exist.
And I would do that in a second.
Absolutely.
I think if our borders are not taken seriously, then our countries are not going to be taken seriously.
Exactly, and we need to be taken seriously. We need to show folks that we're not playing, that we're not playing. We're not a country to play with. Come on, man. It's getting ridiculous. We need to show folks that we're not a country to be playing with. Because when you poke the bear, what you think is going to happen? The bear going to tear you apart. And people need to see that. People need to understand that.
And if our borders aren't taken seriously, which leads to our countries not taken seriously, what they're attempting to do, our entire country falls apart if we don't get immigration under control. That's the number one thing. If you can't control who is coming in and who is coming out of your country falls to pieces. Everybody knows this.
Exactly.
I want to reference a game called World of Warcraft. If you get a raid group of 25 individuals from your guild, that raid is going to go infinitely smoother than if you have 5 guildies and 20 randoms. Everybody knows this, especially if you don't check their gear, you don't check their comms, you don't check their achievements. If you check nothing and all these unchecked people randomly queue in, you're going to get disconnects, you're going to get AFKs, you're going to get random pulls, you're going to get fucked up cooldowns. Everybody knows this. Your country needs to work like a guild group in World of Warcraft.
Exactly.
Because if it doesn't, then your country is going to fall apart. And the reality is, we have told these people to stop coming here illegally, to stop here coming illegally, to stop here coming illegally.
Exactly. They've been arrested, they've been deported, yet they still keep doing it. So, examples got to be made. We're sorry, but we're way past being nice. No more Mr. Nice Guy, because every time we be nice, shit happens, and we have to pick up the pieces. So, no more Mr. Nice Guy. That's it. That's it. We've reached our limit. We have reached our limit. Lethal force should be used by this point. It should have been used before. Now we're at the point where we're in favor of the use of lethal force against those who keep charging our borders, who keep trying to break into our country. It goes without saying that you have to protect your country no matter what. You can't just invite random strangers into the goddamn country, or especially when they don't come in the legal route. You have to make sure that when they come into your country, they're not there to cause trouble or or take it over. You have to do this stuff. It's so ridiculous how people are willing to compromise the safety of our country for their own personal comfort and their own ideology. But then again, those exact same people won't have them folks in their neighborhoods. They'll push them. They'll put them other places to pluck other people's nerves.
It's very hard to not understand that at this point.
Yeah.
So if these people are getting on boats, literal boats, and if you want to know the context of this clip, here it is.
Oh my God! What in Mother Mary is that? Oh my Lord! What have they done?
They got into boats, and 6,000 Moroccan migrants swarmed Spain because they realized Spain is a great country, and so they wanted to ruin it by coming in by the thousands because, well, they can't stop all of us. At this point, they know intentionally what they're doing, and they do. It would be a benefit to just...
Yep, A10 run, like a user said, 1EV11 or something. What is it, 1EV17 or something? And this is Tectone's chat, that's not mine, I rarely ever do live streams. I just do the videos and that's about it. Maybe one day I'll do a live stream, but not right now. I'm considering it, but not soon. But yeah, one of his chat members put it best. A10 run, yep. Brr, yep. Because that seems to be the only way these people will listen. Sometimes you have to get violent with people sometimes you have to get violent with people for them to listen. Because that's sometimes for certain folks that's the only way they're going to ever listen. That's the only thing they understand because they've been raised in that kind of garbage. So they only understand violence. We're not trying to make people scared of us, especially folks in other countries, but like we have a country to protect, bro. We can't just keep letting people in here without checking out who they is and where they come from, especially who they associated with. And we certainly can't let folks in here illegally. I'm sorry, but that's not how America works. That's not how the United States of America works. People fled British tyranny. That people fled to the United States to escape British tyranny, and look what happened. It found them. It found us. This is disgraceful. This is embarrassing. Like, no way, man. Where's the air support at? Where's the air support at? Where are the M2 Brownings at, bro? Like at this point, shit like this needs to be quelled. It needs to be dealt with. Like I said, I hate to say it, but hey, it is what it is, man. It's the reality of the world we live in. We got a country to protect. Like, nah, I can't even imagine that happened to us. No, 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 no. People will either come here illegally, or lethal forces used against them. That's how shit should work.
Simply get rid of them because clearly they would rather be in a jail in Spain rather than go to their own shitty fucking country. Oh, 60,000. Sorry, not 6,000. 60,000.
60,000. Oh,
Yeah. What
oh.
else do you want us to do? What else do you want us to do at this point? Because if 60,000 of these people are going to start invading and attempting to outbreed all of the white folk and take over our countries from the inside, eventually at a certain point, if they want to be in our jails more than their own countries, which is also going to ruin our country because, by the way, it costs a lot of money to keep people in jail. Do you want to know how much money the United States spends on jailing people every year?
I'm afraid to find
Somewhere
out.
between the ballpark of 60 to 80 million dollars every single year. Let me double check that. Let me show you how much of your tax dollars are going to make sure that prisoners are comfortable in the United States of America. This number is going to absolutely drive you fucking insane. And I want to keep in mind, oh my God. Oh, that's way worse. Guys, 100 to 120 billion.
Oh no, you don't. Oh no, 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 no. I know goddamn well most of them prisoners don't need to be in there. They need to 100 to 120 billion fucking dollars per year. Federal, state, local, just to keep prisoners comfortable. And this is our tax money. Yeah, I don't think so. Nope. Nope. Get ICE, get them folks out, get them illegal immigrants out of here. We don't need no more people filling up the prisons. Get them out. Get them out by any means necessary. I don't care if they're in body bags. Get them the heck out of here. I don't care. See, tax money is going to this shit when it should be going to things that are more important. I don't.
Per year on corrections related to prisons and jails. So yes, we don't want to keep them in our jails and prison because it costs a lot of money. Neither do other countries, and that's what they do. So at a certain point, we can't jail them. We can't tell them to go back. You only really leave us with one more option.
Because it's the right thing to do in the long term. You can never look at, in a very, very isolated incident, you could say, and there's always, this is emotional blackmail, right? Well, you can't shoot these people. They have kids with them. Well, then don't bring your kids.
Yep.
Exactly.
If you don't want to get...
Exactly. Like, oops. Oh, shoot. Of course I would have done something that stupid. Of course. You don't bring your kids with you when you're doing this shit. It's just like when a protest is going on, an anti-ICE protest is going on. You don't involve school students. You're in there to learn. Not your students are in there to learn about life. They're not there to learn about a leftist ideology. That's not how that works, bro. But yeah, this is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. Don't bring your friggin' kids to the border. If you're not coming here legally, it's not that difficult. When you put your kids in situations like that, you are risking their life. They are dying for something they have no clue about. They know nothing about. And you're making them die for something they know nothing about. And people have a nerve to say, "Oh, but the kids not." Look at what the parents are doing with their kids. They're trying to break into the borders, and and that causes a lot of riffraff. So when lethal force starts being used, which it should have been used, it should have been used after it was clear that people wouldn't listen. or didn't care about, the rules, the laws and shit, you know, these kids, bro, what happens to them is the parents' fault. You don't bring your kids in a risky situation that you know is one, bad, and two, that will get your kid killed. That's not. Think of the children, people. Ignore the shitty parents that get put their kids in these situations.
Shot, then don't bring your fucking kids.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's really simple.
Very true. You can't say that someone committing a crime, but they're committing a crime with their kids, so now we can't hold them liable.
Yeah, it don't work like that. Nope. You get held liable either one way or another. That's how it works, bro. It's a thing called crime and punishment, law and order.
What the fuck are we talking about? Don't bring your kids then. Your kids didn't have to be there. You brought them into this environment. It's your damn fault. And
exactly. It's like working at a factory and literally bringing your son to the factory and then trying to sue the company, or trying to sue, and then your son dies, and then trying to sue when your son dies. Nope. You brought your son to a factory knowing how dangerous it was, knowing the risks. You put your son in that situation, so you don't get to absolve yourself of the consequences.
You're not going to blame the country for taking matters into their own hands.
Exactly.
Because, well, what about this photo of this one crying child?
Exactly. It's just like with those teens who tried to break into somebody's house and got shot and killed. Listen to me very closely. When you let your kids do whatever they want and they end up doing stuff like that, you should not be surprised when you end up having to bury them. You don't break into people's houses, bro. You just don't, especially in certain parts of the country. Unfortunately, it's not like that everywhere. Personally, it should be like that everywhere. You try to break into someone's house, you get a warning, and then you get shot. That's really it. That's how it should be. Because you should know better. We should know better by now. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Imagine someone breaking into your home. What are you going to do? Are you going to tell them to leave? Because chances are, if someone is breaking into your home, and the chances are very high, they're not there. They're not there for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. They're there to take what you got. They're putting their life. They decided anything in your house, anything and everything in your house, was worth their life. So they're gonna end up losing theirs, and it's their fault. You can put pictures of kids crying and put a kid on a shirt in a t-shirt all you want. The simple fact is, when you keep trying to break into a country, you should not be surprised when the results are fatal, even if it costs your kid's life. That's how things work, man. Don't bring your kids to a situation like this. In fact, don't have children to begin with, because if that's what you're gonna do with your kids.
I'm sorry, bro. If you can't handle the heat, don't enter the kitchen. And it's these same people, and this is the truth, by the way. It's the same people. So there were teachers who were bringing students, this is in our own country, in preschool students and kindergarten through fifth grade students, and they were bringing them to
ICE protests. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And it was so bad, man. They basically putting them kids' lives in danger. If I was one of one of them kids' parents, nah, bro, it would be an instant lawsuit. I'd find you and curb stomp you myself. Absolutely not, because you don't do stuff like that. I seen a video before, I think it was in 2024, where a mother, she went and picked her kid up from the school while they were doing an anti-ICE protest. Yeah. And her kid kept arguing with her. I was like, boy, I ought to hit you with my belt for even being that stupid. No, no. This is why This is why the distrust with the government, people in general, and especially, folks like teachers are so god darn high because you can't trust people no more. You can't. You don't know what folks are doing behind your back, especially with your kids. And I personally think that's disgusting. Your kid, the kid, you don't bring your kids to a school to go to an anti-ice protest. Parents don't do that. I hope not. If you do, you're a really terrible parent. Just so you know, I just want you to know that you're a really shitty parent. You should have never had kids. You shouldn't be having any. You know, but like you don't do that. When you're teaching at a school, it is your job to help those kids learn about life, not go out there and die for leftist ideology. That's not what school's for. You want to do that, you do that on your own time. You bring your kids. You don't bring anyone else's kids into that situation. And even then, you shouldn't even be bringing your kids into that situation. People are just evil, guys. I
ICE
tell you.
riots. And let me tell you why these teachers do that. Because they want an ICE officer to misfire and hit a child.
Exactly. They set those kids up to die. That's what they do. Just so they can just so they can play victim. Just so they can add more victims to the roster. What do you think all those gun control advocates do? They set up people to die. Politicians, moms demand action, you name it. They set up innocent people to die so they can have an excuse to further their anti-gun agenda. That's the only reason gun control was made, was, to establish control over law-abiding citizens. All those groups, all those leftists who are in support for gun control, politicians, you name it, they intentionally set innocent people up to die, especially children in schools. Why do you think so many school shootings happen? Because they set that shit up. They do it by implementing more gun control, making it more difficult for law-abiding citizens to have guns, and making it easier for criminals to have firearms. They also, funnily enough, allow people who shouldn't have firearms to have them anyway. Oh, but if you're a law-abiding citizen who doesn't have a leftist ideology, you can't have a firearm. That's their entire ideology. But when someone with their ideology ends up shooting up a school or something, they either condone it, or worse, they blame gun owners and shit for it. Yeah, they do that. It's all intentional. They're the ones setting up innocent children, and they're the ones intentionally setting up innocent men, women, and children to die, just so they could grift off of the grieving families and shit. They love manipulating grieving families and shit. They do that on a regular basis, on a daily basis.
There could be headlines of ICE agent shoots a child.
Yep.
That's what these people are doing. That's what these people are doing.
To push a narrative.
That's why countries like Iran are putting elementary schools next to their military bases. That way they can put the headline of United States bombs an elementary school.
Yep. Because why else wouldn't they? Mind you, they be using their own children as suicide bombers too. So, it's perfectly fine when they use innocent children, as suicide bombers. But it's such a terrible thing when the United States accidentally bombs a school full of children. It's an accident. It's not intentional. Seriously, the double standards are hilarious, man.
They don't tell you it's attached to the military base. That's another real story, by the way.
Yep.
These people are intentionally putting children in harm's way. That way they can villainize the countries that need to protect themselves.
Yes.
These people are animals. These people are monsters. And we must not have weakness for monsters' tactics.
Exactly. They are dangerous individuals. Exactly. Way too dangerous.
Because they know what they're doing. They're abusing our sympathy. They're abusing our morality because they have none.
Yep.
And they want to destroy us. And everybody knows this. Let's keep going here.
You mean you'd shoot adults and deport the kids, right? Well, I'd shoot whoever.
Yeah. Yeah. The barrel's ready to eat for everyone. Don't matter. The simple fact is, you don't put your children in situations like that knowing they're gonna die. They'll potentially die. You know, yeah, it's pretty messed up to kill a kid, but when you have folks charging your border, you have no time to figure out what you're gonna do. You have no time to figure out what the plan is. Seriously, man. Those folks try to use children as scapegoats. They try to use children as a not a bargaining chip, but rather like a guilt trip. Oh, look what you did to the poor innocent children. Maybe if you didn't bring your kids to the friggin' border for your sick garbage, we wouldn't be in this situation. People have always been using children to guilt trip people. It's no new thing. They use children to spread propaganda. They use children for a whole lot of garbage. And it still happens today. Still to this day it happens. And we're seeing it in full force.
Yeah, I'd shoot whoever. I mean, if it's kids, women, men, anybody, just shoot them. They're going to stop coming over.
Yep.
Yep.
Because if you don't do that, they'll use children and women as shields to get themselves over.
Exactly.
Which we've already seen this documented in history. And guys, it's not on us to be the good guys.
It isn't.
It's not. We're doing what's best for our country. And
exactly.
You have to.
You know how many times our military, the U.S. military, has tried to intervene and be helpful? Too many. You know what the results were? Even worse. You know what the results were? Oh, get out of our country. Or, you didn't do enough. People bit the hand that fed them, and now that the hand is no longer feeding them, now they're mad about it. They think they're entitled to our support after screwing us over so many goddamn times. And don't get me wrong, our government is corrupt, obviously. However, when our military did try to lend a hand, things went wrong. And on top of it, people were, telling our soldiers to get the heck out of their country, right? But when we don't do anything, somehow it's now a problem, right? Anyone remember the Battle of Mogadishu? Look, I was born in 2002, but even I have enough common sense to know that every time our military has helped other countries, it's just led to nothing but absolute agony on our end. People hated us. Our soldiers weren't really appreciated. And it just makes you wonder, if y'all didn't appreciate our military helping y'all out, then why did y'all call for us? It's all just virtue signaling, just to make themselves look good for trying to call the big guns. It's all just virtue signaling. Though they do seem to have a hard time making up their minds.
Understand, the people who shoot the kids, the people who shoot the men, the people who shoot the women, they're not the bad people.
Exactly.
They're not. And they're going to try to convince you that they are. But the reality is, these are monsters using children on shields. Oh, by the way, talking about literal shields, there was another group in another country where they put children on shields.
Excuse me?
So that way people couldn't defend themselves as if they were invading their territory. It is psychotic, barbaric behavior. And everybody knows these people are monsters, but that's not what the media is going to tell you. They're going to tell you
Exactly.
got shot.
Exactly. Like, that's such a stupid thing, man. Yep, and they're gonna make us they're gonna make the folks shooting at him out to be the monsters for defending themselves. Remember, in some U.S. states, self-defense is somehow a crime. It's treated as more of a crime than protecting yourself. And God help you if you're in the UK. you even so much as defend yourself or look at someone the wrong way, you're pretty much already in cuffs before you even realize it.
Elementary school got bombed. They're not going to tell you that their own country sacrificed.
Oh yeah, it gets even worse of what the Taliban were doing in Afghanistan to those little girls, stripping them of their education, using them as sex slaves. A lot, pretty much all of which still goes on to this day. But they won't report on that stuff. Very rarely do they do. And when they do, they're the ones constantly telling our country that we have to do something about it when we already tried. Our military already tried doing something about it. And you know what happened? People didn't appreciate it. People didn't appreciate it. And Biden didn't help by withdrawing the U.S. forces from Afghanistan because not only do they have our military's equipment, they use it effectively. They learn to use it effectively. So finding them would be even more difficult if our military was to resume or finish what they started. So yeah, thanks a lot, because now a bunch of already rape happy murderers, and sex traffickers, are on the loose with U.S. equipment and seem to be pretty damn good at it from what I heard.
These people in order to make that happen. And it's disgusting. The levels of propaganda our people are underneath who actually think that the United States are the bad guys is preposterously high. Yep. And people fall for it every day.
And then
these are demons.
Absolutely.
They are demons.
Yes.
There is no other word for it than parasitic demons.
Yep.
And we must exterminate the demons.
They'll put more women and children at risk because they know that they can use them as collateral so they can get more of themselves over. That's the way it works.
Yep. They want out of their own countries so bad, they're willing to kill their own women and children for it. Yep. And they blame us. Here's a better idea.
Yep. Sound like an abuser, man. Sound like domestic abuse, doesn't it? Oh, baby, why'd you make me do that? Look what you made me do. Yep. Sounds exactly like domestic abuse, doesn't it? They love that shit over there, I'll tell you that. Because they seem to be attached to it. And on top of it, they also have a rapist mentality too. On top of the fact that they are rapists anyway, so what does it matter?
If you couldn't fix your own country, stay the fuck out of ours.
Exactly. What makes you think you can try to take over our country and quote-unquote fix ours? Nope. Stay your butt over in your country and fix it. Don't come over here causing all kinds of trouble and trying to force your lifestyle on everybody.
Okay, I'm pretty sure if these 60,000 Moroccan illegal immigrants were to just, I don't know, put in a little bit of effort, they could probably make some decent change. Just a thought. But they don't want to do that. They want to be lazy and they want
to rape, pillage, and burn. That's what they want to do. They don't want stuff. They don't want to work hard for stuff. They want to just take, and take. You can't do that. You got to work and earn stuff. Life isn't a given. It's a earn.
Live off the backs of other countries.
It's the way an animal thinks, and these people are animals. They're savages. Absolute fucking savages.
True.
Hamas tactics, terrorists.
Yep, they are.
Of course you don't want to do that. It doesn't mean you want to do it.
Mm-hmm. No, we don't want to do it, but we have to do it.
Exactly. None of us wanted things to get to this point. Let me remind you, folks, that none of us wanted things to get to this point. We didn't want to do that. We don't want to do this stuff. We don't want it. We don't want our country to have to use lethal force just to protect ourselves from illegal immigration. Or rather, an invasion is what it really is. Let's be honest. It's an invasion. It's no longer illegal immigration. It's an invasion. We have enemy combatants coming on our soil and desecrating and destroying our way of life. We have enemy combatants. We don't have illegal immigrants coming in our country. They're enemy combatants. It's time we call a spade a spade. You don't have to like it, but it is what it is, man. You can't just deny the truth just because it hurts your feelings. The truth hurts, but it's much better than being lied to, I'll tell you that. You know, um, you know, so yeah, none of us wanted to have to come to this, but it's gotten to that point. It's gotten to that point. We've tried. We said, do not come in the country illegally. We gave them 100 reasons why they're not supposed to do that. Why they're not supposed to do that. They still do it. You know, it's just people are hard headed. A lot of people don't seem to listen until they end up going through a tragedy, and then that's when they start listening.
To do what you need to do in order to enforce your borders, man.
Yep, you have to.
You have to do what you got to do to protect your country.
Because here's the reality. If borders don't exist, and you guys don't want this, people outside of the country, you don't want this.
Yeah,
if borders don't exist and everything can be occupied by force, the United States is going to mow down every country on this fucking earth.
Exactly. People don't seem to realize that, though. If we had no borders, what makes you think we're not going to try to mow everything down? Or, I mean, rather our government anyway. We don't really give a shit. As long as the people not trying to mow us down, we don't really care.
You want to act like we're afraid of Russia?
We're not.
Russia couldn't even beat Ukraine.
True.
Okay, Russia's a fucking joke. And we all know that shit. Borders are for everybody else's safety. And if we don't respect these, then we're going to mow everybody the fuck down. We're going to take all your shit and we're going to bring it back here. So here's an idea. If you want to immigrate, do it legally. Do it legally. And when you go to a country, ask not what this country can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for this country. Because if people were coming over here to make the country a better place, there would be no problems.
Exactly.
There would be no problems.
And the problem is, people are not doing that. People are coming in here to make the country got significantly worse just so they can reshape it in their image. Absolutely not, man.
The problem is these people want to come over. They want to live off of welfare. Fun fact, 96% of Somalians are living off of welfare in the United States.
Oh,
that's why we got to get them the fuck out.
Yep.
And these aren't Somalians who just came here. Somalians who have been here for over 8 years, 96% of them are on welfare. They are making your groceries cost more. They are making your life cost more. I don't need parasites in my country. And neither do any of these other countries. Fix your own shit. And I say it every day. Brother, Detroit is a shithole.
Let's see. Closed borders only have visa for closed borders only have visa for only tourists, and end of story. No school, no work, just only visit visa only. No migration allowed. People need to make their own country great. Yeah, true. I mean, I don't have a problem with migrants coming into the country, just as long as you do so legally and you're contributing to something in the country. You're contributing. Don't just come here thinking you could just live off of us. You got to contribute. You got to do something. Seriously, man. You can live your life, but just contribute, okay? Don't just sit there and leech off of our goddamn system. Forgive me, Lord.
Until the United States is good to go, I don't want to help anybody else out. I am America first.
Exactly.
Just like every other country should be their country first. And I don't want to fix anybody else's shit until we get our shit under control.
Exactly, because it's not our problem. And these so-called activists, they sure seem to love to talk behind friggin' screens and shit and all in the streets. But where are they to help other countries? Collective Shout, they're sitting there talking about, oh, rape this, rape that. Well, where are y'all in countries like Afghanistan and Iran? Well, where's y'all at? Nowhere to be found. Like these organizations, these fucking social justice warriors have to stop, bro. If you're not going to do something in another country to help other people, then you shouldn't be saying, oh, but then you shouldn't be telling other people to do it. Especially with the Palestine shit. Nope. Our country comes first. We don't even know anything about that goddamn country. Number one. And number two, we're not helping foreign terror organizations. No, absolutely not. Y'all on your own, man. We try, our military tried helping other countries, and look where it got, and look what it got us. Nothing but infamy.
You wouldn't operate on an engine with broken tools.
People are too emotional to see that. Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely. People let their emotions cloud their judgment. They let their emotions think for them instead of actually thinking for themselves. But lo and behold, they like to tell us that we don't think for ourselves just because we don't have the same ideology that they do.
like again, like it's you don't you can't make decisions that way. And I understand
Yeah.
the way that I talk about this might be a little bit extreme. It might be a little.
It's only
I mean, absolutely, I understand, yeah. It may sound extreme, but it's really only extreme to people who let their emotions think for them.
extreme because how quickly and how lack of explanation you give it.
Yeah.
And retards need to be spoon fed what you mean. Now, everybody who watches this video, they understand what asthma means.
Yeah.
They understand what I mean. But the people who clip chimp this shit and post it on Twitter, they don't understand it. And do you want to know
Absolutely.
why they don't understand it? Because they don't want to.
Yeah. They know exactly what he means. They just don't want to. They just don't want to understand it. They don't want to hear him out. They don't want to hear what he has to say, They don't want to unpack what he's saying. No. They want to get all emotional and say, "Oh, you're a bad person. You're a really bad person." They want to twist what he's saying into shit that he never said. It's disgusting, really. It's willful ignorance. It's willful ignorance.
They don't want to. The majority of leftist discourse is them intentionally not understanding why you're saying what you're saying.
And twisting things that people say to fit your narrative.
And that's the truth. They want to be intentionally ignorant so they can be outraged just because you are not aligned politically. And that's the goddamn truth. And everybody knows it.
A little
Exactly.
bit, unemotional.
Low IQ monkey behavior.
I wish we had more
Pretty
people
much.
like me. I do. I wish we had more, because we got too many pussies that are too worried about the optics of something rather than the reality of it. The
True.
reality
They hate
of it
the
is
truth,
that if
yeah.
you allow people to use kids as a shield to come over, they're going to use kids as a shield to come over.
Yep.
And that's
Exactly.
going to cause a net increase of child exploitation.
Yep.
a net-
Exactly. Where do they think all these child trafficking rings and stuff come from? They come from other countries where people are exploiting children like that. Yep. Using them as shields and stuff. What do you think? Why do you think hostages are a thing? They use them as bargaining chips, shields, so they could shield themselves from the consequences of their actions. They could less give a. They don't give a shit about the children. They don't care about them. If they're willing to use children as literal shields, then if they're willing to use kids as actual shields, they don't care about their children. They don't care. They basically had children just to use them in a very dangerous situation. They only had them just to use them. You know how somehow there are couples who have children just to have their organs harvested and shit for their other children? Yeah. That's basically what they are. They have their children to use them as tools. And it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Just to exploit them. And they do not care. They do not care at all.
increase of child suffering.
Yep.
And it's better to just say nobody can come over and shoot anybody than try to create winning solutions for these people so they can take advantage of them by further exploiting those groups of
Let me
these
see.
people so they
What
can
does
take
that one
advantage
say?
of them by
My boy came to America from Cuba, didn't speak a word of English, came here, worked, learned English, and they were looking into his citizenship. Guess what? He stayed because he assimilated. Wow.
further exploiting those groups of people that you think you don't want to shoot.
A
The left act like they don't vote for kids to die. They trans kids who end up doing, yeah. Yup, that's exactly what they do. That's exactly what they do. The left are more than willing, are more than comfortable with, pushing all that woke garbage onto children and having them commit suicide because of it. But when people actually try to do what's best for children, sensibly, they have a problem with it.
Minimum action today can prevent a maximum action of tomorrow.
Exactly.
If these people know their barbaric tactics work, do you think they're going to stop?
No.
No.
Why would they?
They're going to say, oh, this is how it works. We just bring children and we put them in front of us. That way they can't do anything. No. A little bit to...
It's like playing Halo Combat Evolved and figuring out that you can use a plasma pistol and the Magnum to kill an elite on Legendary. You think people are going to stop doing that because you think people are going to stop doing that when they figure that out? No. Have I stopped doing it when I figured that out? Absolutely not. I mean, I looked it up anyway beforehand. But that was when I was playing Master Chief Collection, which I still play anyway. So, you know, I've used that tactic since. And I'm not ashamed of it. I have no guilt for it. You know, hey, it is what it is. He provided something of value for society. Yep, that is true. You know, whoever said that, you know, yeah. When you provide something for society, people wouldn't usually have a problem with it.
It's very simple.
That's just how it is. You say you shoot kids? Yeah. No, that's. I mean.
Let me see. I love the left libs beefing with each other over primaries just to get cooked in the general when they see nobody wants this comedy shit. Yeah, they always be at each other's throats and then wonder why they keep losing. Because they are quick to tear each other apart just from one little mere accusation. Remember that video where this one leftist at an anti-ICE protest was accused of being an ICE agent? That was so funny. That gave me a little chuckle. Yeah, of course they're gonna eat each other. They're gonna rip each other apart.
Obviously, that's what I said, right? I mean, like that's clearly like, I mean that's like, I don't know why. Like, why would you repeat it to me as if I didn't say it?
Yep.
That's literally exactly what I said. That's the reasoning for it. That's my logic. That's exactly what I would do, and I wouldn't even have any question for it.
Yep.
Come on. Well, I'm gonna pull one more up. Keep the kids, deport their families. What do you think the kids?
Keep the kids, deport their family. Oh my lord, here we go with this bull crap again. No, deport the kids. Deport the kids. We can't take on no more children, bro. Y'all don't seem to understand. We're the ones paying our taxes for this shit. Nah, bro. Because what are the kids doing? Look, as much as I love and care about kids, man, you know, they need to go back with their parents. Whether they born on U.S. soil or not, they need to go back with their parents. Because this shit is coming out of our tax money, bro.
Kids do. The kids grow up and they resent you for supporting their families to turn to terrorists.
Exactly. All it takes is for them to be manipulated, you know, or assume or believe that you took their family away from them, and now you have potentially another problematic person. You potentially have another problematic individual that wants to come after you for what they see as taking away their family from them. You can't do that. You gotta get the kid out of there too.
There it is.
No. You present a very specific scenario, just shooting into a crowd, and now there happen to be kids too? Of course, because that's...
Let me see. You presented a very specific scenario just now of shooting into a crowd, and there happening to be kids too.
Reality, because if you have kids in the crowd, then kids are going to get killed in the crowd.
Yeah.
Then you're going to use the emotional weight of the kids getting killed in the crowd as a justification to not shoot the crowds.
Exactly.
Yep. But you think that shooting the crowds is the correct option, which means that you would be okay taking the risk of killing the kids, which means that killing the kids is somehow acceptable, which means that doing that is not a big deal. And you'd be okay with it as well.
True.
You're ignoring how the sausage is made because you don't want to feel bad about the outcome.
Exactly.
Yep. But you have to understand that bacon comes from somewhere. That steak comes from somewhere.
Yep.
You living in ignorance of that fact doesn't make you a better person.
The reality is that
it just makes you an uninformed one.
That any way that you logically deduce this reality, you will immediately come out with bad behavior.
Yep.
Yes.
You understand?
Easy to understand. Too easy.
You just create a human shield defense? Of course. All I'm saying is don't pull the kids aside and shoot them if you had a choice.
What? Bro, you just can't. It's like people do not get it at all. Look, it's sad that the kids are involved in the situation, but when you have people basically using children as a guilt trip into getting through, into breaking into a country, there's a problem there. You have to make examples. You have to show those people that children are not. Neither one of them are getting into the border, and lethal force will be used if need be. You know, I can't with these people, man. It's like they're intentionally ignoring the point here.
Well, I don't think they should pull them aside.
Exactly.
No one wants to feel bad about the outcome. Well, of course. I mean,
of course, no one wants to have to deal with a situation like that. No one wants to be in a situation like that. You think the average police officer or ICE agent wants to be in a situation like this? Absolutely not. They're parents. They have children too. A lot of them are moms and dads. You think they want to have to be in this situation? Nope. But this situation ends up happening because our borders are not secure. And it's not, their fault that people want our borders open. So shit has to happen. Sorry, but it is what it is. Don't bring your kids to a situation like this because they're not going to protect you. You're not protecting anyone by doing that. If you don't want your kids to get shot, don't bring them. It's that simple. Why would you put your kids' life on the line for something they know nothing about? You're just using your children as tools. And then when they get killed, you want to play the victim. You can't do that. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. That's not how things work. You do something bad, you face the consequences. Even if it means your kid is dead. You face the consequences. You go back to your country and with your head down and you think about what you just did. It's that simple.
Everything could be handled perfectly. Obviously, we would do that, but obviously things can't be handled perfectly. Obviously.
Exactly. We don't live in a perfect world. If we were in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to worry about any of this stuff now, would we? Nope. But unfortunately, it's gotten to this point. Seriously, man. We get tired of having to educate people on this stuff when they're intentionally ignoring what we're telling them just because they want to protect their feelings.
The scenario already happened and they were defenseless. And now there's 60,000 illegal immigrants that are all in Spain because they were too weak to do what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Why not just give every immigrant a house or big tent owned by the gov? Uncanny. No, they can go back to where their country was. They can go back to where their country is. Nope, no, absolutely the hell not. I'm pretty sure that was a joke. I hope it was, but no, they can go back to their goddamn country where they came from.
Actually, I don't care about feeling bad about the outcome at all.
Exactly.
And I want to let every illegal immigrant or potential.
Exactly. Sometimes you have to turn off your emotions to do what needs to be done. Seriously, you have to be able to stay rational in dark situations like that. What you think police officers have to go through on a daily basis? What do you think ICE agents have to go through on a daily basis? Like, really? It's gotten to the point where children are seen to be the only thing important are seen to be the only thing that matters in any discussion. Yet, those same people are more than happy to allow illegal immigrants to come into our country, or any other country rather, using their children as bargaining chips, or using their children as a threat. Absolutely not. Nope, you can go right back to where you came from, because you're not getting past the border today. No. As we said, absolutely not. There is no negotiations. There is no negotiating. You either go back to your country, or you risk getting shot. And there's a high risk of that.
Go? No. Just get on a boat. Go to California. They'll
Exactly.
welcome you with open arms. If you would like to ruin the United States, look no further than California. They
Yep.
will let you in. Go, have fun, guys.
Well,
have
actually, don't forget about New York and now Virginia.
fun. There, hey, it's right on the coast. Go ahead, get in there.
I care about feeling bad about that I did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
This is the kind of guy.
Everything is a sacrifice. Everything is a grave decision. You have to make a decision, regardless of how horrifying the outcome may be. There's no negotiation. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, I've learned that playing Ready or Not. Despite my best efforts to shoot criminals and injure them so that way they can still be detained and arrested really, so they can get to the police station. I don't have to worry about, criminals dying and other officers getting stressed the hell out. It's just inevitable because now they're carrying rifles. They're less likely to, in the later levels, they're carrying rifles. They're less in body armor. They're less likely to surrender. In fact, highly unlikely to surrender. And, they can even bluff you. So, it's a tough situation, but I got to do what I got to do in that game. And yeah, it may just be a game, but it's the closest you'll ever get to a police officer simulator, a SWAT simulator. It's the closest you'll ever get. In spite of Void Interactive being a bunch of backstabbing buffoons that are censorship happy and bend the knee to censorship happy organizations. Still, sometimes you gotta pick the lesser evil, man. I hate to say it, but you gotta pick the lesser evil. I didn't want this to come into fruition either. But when people keep breaking into your country, what else are you supposed to do? Just let them in? You can't do that because then you're showing them that they could easily get away with what they're doing. People have to be disciplined. Why do you think whoopings were a thing? Whenever you did something bad, you got whooped for it. Now, obviously, there are shitty parents who whoop their kids for the smallest goddamn things. When there are far worse things to whoop your kids about for, but which we know is abuse. However, when you did something bad, very bad, you got whooped. It's called discipline. You have to get your kids ready for life because when you're not there, they have to be able to take care of themselves, protect themselves, and whatever. And you can't live forever. You won't live forever on the planet. Now that translates to here. These people have to understand that they can't just break into our country and invade it like that. You have to come into our country legally or you don't come in at all. And if need be, lethal force can be used. At least that's the way we want things because we're tired of people just coming in here and taking advantage of our country. Of our tax money and then bragging about it to us and basically telling us we can't do anything about it. No, we're tired of that. Nope. Now it's time for lethal force to be used. You either come in the country legally or you get shot. Set up bear traps if you have to. We don't care what the United Nations or NATO says. We're tired of people telling us that we have to play nice for the sake of it. No. You don't play nice every time something bad happens because then people start taking advantage of you and then this stuff happens.
The false hook, line, and sinker for the Hamas propaganda because he can't see past kids. It's so sad, man.
Yep.
It's honestly so sad the amount of people that are.
It's just like the age verification garbage, aka the identity verification nonsense. Oh, but think of the children, and just like gun control, think of the children, or if you don't support gun control, then you don't care about children. The kinds of people who usually say stuff like that? They're the folks who hate children. They're the folks who harm children the most by being ignorant and just want to pass that off to other people so they feel less guilty. They're self-righteous morons who think they know better than anyone else does.
Emotionally captured by this.
Yep. The reality is, Asmongold has had a lot of bad takes. This is not one of them. This is the common sense
so I
take.
was
It is
wrong
not our responsibility to ensure the safety of other countries when criminals are committing violent acts and they are putting their own children at risk. That's on them.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's how stuff should be. It should be on you when you do bad things and you involve your children in it. It's just like when you walk into a store and try to coach your kids into stealing stuff. You get arrested. There's a potential that your kids also get some consequences. That's how it should be. You don't coach your kids into doing the same garbage that you're doing. You don't coach your kids into putting their lives on the line for your garbage. Because then you just it just shows that you just had them just so you could use them as weapons. You don't weaponize children. You know, that's just evil. Very evil.
It's not on us. Sneeko responds with, Asmongold must be the dumbest commentator I have ever seen in my life. Demonic.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. How ironic, given that you embrace Islam. Yeah, how friggin' ironic, dude. And look at this. He's even a Hassan orbiter too. Isn't that wonderful? He's even a Hassan orbiter. Demonic filth, not even a human. That is so ironic. Those two are demons, and they're calling Asmongold a demon. Wow. Wow. Would you look at that? Hassanabi Productions. Oh wow, man. The two biggest demons, you know, in the country try to pass themselves off as good, wholesome people and try to call Asmongold a demon for his take. Wow. You know you like children, dude. So I don't know why you talk I don't know why you talking. I don't know why you talking, but you know you like children and the dumbest commentator, dude, you tried to intimidate Charlie of all people with the handgun. And you got a whole rifle pulled, and he pulled out a rifle in one of his videos in his response, dude. Come on, man. Don't act like you tough after what happened. Nope. Nope. You know, this is ridiculous, man.
Filth, not even
It's
a human.
laughable.
Shut the fuck up, you Islamic, Muslimic. Also, fun fact, self-proclaimed pedophile. Jesus
Exactly.
Christ. Once again, I don't think Sneeko's a pedophile. I just think he's a retard. Anyways, catch you on the next one.
That's an insult to them individuals because they actually have a much higher IQ than those low life animals.
Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.
I think you are correct. Nothing but facts spoken. Nothing but facts spoken. Okay, well that's the video, guys. So if you liked it, leave a like. You know the drill. Hey, and see you in the next one.